All right, let's do it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 143rd episode of the Closer Club. My name is Alex Vidal, Regional Vice President for Coldwell Banker here in Dallas, Fort Worth. And today we are sitting with a two-time guest of the Closer Club, Mr. John Assaraf, who, if you didn't watch my first episode with him, shame on you. It is a game changer. If you've ever heard me say, are you committed or are you interested or are you committed? It came from this man right here. How you doing, John?
I'm doing great, Alex. Nice to see you again. It's been a while since you've been here at my home.
That's right. The first time we were interviewing in your living room with the ocean behind us.
That's right.
Oh, man. Well, listen, John, I think we need to get right to it. You're busy, we're busy, but we want to bring some tremendous value to the guests. The first question I want to talk about is, right now in the world, there's so much crazy crap going on. I don't care what side you're on. There's a lot of crazy crap on the world. I sent an email to the company the other day about whether a filter was being needed or not. And because if you just go to any news organization of your choice, the headlines are crazy, right? Teenagers now are, and this has nothing to do with real estate, but I have a teenage son. My boss has a teenage son, et cetera. Teenagers right now are kind of, seeing all the craziness. They don't know what their own world is being turned upside down. Obviously, for those of you that don't know John, John helped write The Secret, which is mind-blowing book. So talking about teenagers and The Secret, examples where you've seen it work to with teenagers kind of dealing with the world that we're in today, and how to apply it.
I mean, listen, there's a lot going on. It's not just teenagers, but it's extremely dangerous for teenagers. And let me explain why. When we're talking about the human brain, and my passion is behavioral neurosciences and psychology, right? And so when we're talking about the human brain and how we formulate our concept of self, our beliefs around what we can achieve or not achieve, our self-image, our fears, our uncertainties, the stuff that causes doubt. Teenagers especially are at a very, very precarious time in their lives right now because they're in this time of uncertainty with a lot of misinformation, with a lot of very, very strong polarization going on from some very smart people who know how to control the narrative. Right. And the narrative from a really good communicator, it doesn't make a difference. You're Republican or Democrat, whether you're a vaxxer or anti-vaxxer, it doesn't make a difference. When smart people who know how to communicate concepts and ideas and fears or successes, somebody who hasn't yet learned how to think and how to do the research for themselves and how to do the research on the research, when we're young, as teenagers and even into our early 20s, we're very impressionable. Yeah. And so we start to formulate, as you and I discussed in our last podcast, the neural patterns of reality, right? So if you think about it, was anybody born with any fear? No. Was anybody born with a self-image? No. Was anybody born with any beliefs? No. We accumulate beliefs and self-image and fears along the way based on our teachers, our parents, our environment, our experiences, the meaning we give things. So one of the greatest things to teach students right now is, how do I do my own research so I actually know who I can trust? How do I do the research on the research? And just because somebody is a doctor, somebody's a lawyer, somebody's an engineer, somebody has, certain degrees or pedigrees, doesn't mean they're telling you the truth. They may be telling you the truth that they have cognitive biases around. Sure. But we have cognitive biases that are positive. We have cognitive biases that are negative, or constructive or destructive. And if you want to understand the nature of how cults are created and reinforced, cults will usually get people that are very impressionable, suggestible, vulnerable. They'll teach them certain things to believe. They'll reinforce those beliefs. And those beliefs become the truth and the reality. And then they'll defend those to the level of conviction and even killing another human being to defend those beliefs. So we have to really help our youth, our young minds stay on guard and teach them, look at it this way, but how do you look at it that way? Is this the truth, or is that what they're telling you is the truth? How do you discover your own truth? And this is so true for even us adults, because we have our truths and then everything else we push away. We say, well, that's not true because this is what I believe and here is my evidence for that. And this is why it's so hard to change people's minds. Yeah. We're not actually changing their minds because we're giving them more information. Doesn't change subconscious patterns.
Got it. You know, it's funny about perception. My son, he plays for the MLS team, top 14-year-old, you know, the highest a 14-year-old can play. He plays almost every game, brand new team. Rarely does a new player play, you know, right away. And on Saturday's game, he didn't play at all. And he was really bummed out. And I sat down with him. I said, prior to Saturday, would you tell me, if I asked you your play time, did you think you're playing more than you thought you would be playing? Are you playing just as much as you thought you would be playing, or are you playing less? He said, no, I'm playing more than what I thought I would be playing. I'm like, okay, so don't allow one game to determine what you think of your entire season thus far. And sure enough, the next day, Sunday, he had a game and he played almost the entire game. So
well, you taught him perspective. You taught him perspective, correct. Right? So yeah.
So okay, so here you are. You have a teenager. They're going through all this stuff. But they're in the dumps right now. The girl got girl issues, right? No, and this has nothing to do with real estate, but I know we all have teenagers. Girl issues. Got COVID. He's getting out of COVID. His grades suffered because he couldn't go to school for 2 weeks. What tips? I understand the research piece, but what tips from a mindset perspective? How do you apply tips from The Secret or from your own brain research? Can my boss give to his teenager to say, hey, this is how we uplift you, how we bring you out of this?
Sure. So whether it's girl issues, guy issues, when we're dealing with, young adults, 15, 16, 17, 14, we're dealing with hormones that are raging and changing the emotional states, right? So when we're dealing with emotional states, the question then becomes, am I a victim of my emotions, or am I going to learn how to control my emotions? And so one of the things I taught my kids how to do when they were very, very young, I used to ask them if why they like watching, Hollywood movies or TV shows. And did they know that the people that were playing the roles that they were watching are acting, whether, they're acting angry or sad or happy or confused or mad, whatever the case is, were they acting and playing out those roles? They go, well, of course, Dad, they're actors. I go, oh, so that means that actors practice emotional states and mastering the different emotions when they need it on demand? They go, well, yeah, I guess. I said, well, does that mean that you could learn that skill too?
Wow.
Wow, yeah. So, I just all of a sudden said, so what the fuck are you doing right now? Like tell me, are you going to do it or not? Did you like that? I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I didn't really mean that. And I would do this with them to show them that on demand, you can switch from one emotional state to another. Now, do you want to be a victim of what he did or she did? Or do you want to manage your emotional state? Which are you going to be, a victim of them? Okay, or are you going to be victorious over your own emotions? So we could teach them little techniques like that by changing what we have them focus on. So, when you change the way you look at something, Wayne Dyer said, the thing that you look at changes. So instead of us, even as parents, look at them as we want to protect them from these emotions. Why? They need all those emotions. We don't want to help them. We don't want to suppress them. We want to teach them that their emotions are okay. They're normal and they can have more control over them. That's a skill set.
Got it. So how do you do that?
Just the way I just shared with you. So if, my sons, I've got two sons, 26 and 24 now, would come home.
Studs, by the way. Total studs. I see it on social media.
Thank you. I would ask them, I said, if you chose to, I know how you're feeling, I get that, but if you chose to, could you switch this emotional state? If you chose to, I know you don't want to, but if you chose to, could you? No, of course I could if I chose to. I said, okay, so that means you don't have to stay stuck in this emotional state. You could choose to if you wanted to. I'm not saying you do, but if you wanted to, you could choose to give this a different meaning. You could choose to manage this better, and you could practice choosing a different emotion just if you chose to.
Got it. Genius.
Right. So put the control back in. I don't want to tell them what to do. I want to put the control back in their abilities.
Got it. Okay. So and I love that. I think that's pure gold. We can end the interview right there, and I'd be happy, but we're not ending there. Talk to me about staying motivated. I'm doing, man, John, I'm doing a crap ton of coaching right now. I've done over 500 one-on-one coaching sessions year to date. I just graduated 120 in group coaching. I got 142 in my next round of group coaching. And part of it is that as you have a real estate background, which I love, so people will understand this, some of the basics in real estate are the easiest, hardest things to do, or the hardest, easiest things to do. And so part of my challenge is keeping these people motivated throughout the challenges that we give them day in and day out, for the 8-week coaching session that we do. So what are some tips on helping people stay motivated?
So by definition, right, what is motivation? Like, what does the word actually mean?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
Motivation to me is something that fuels my fire to get done whatever it is I'm trying to get done.
Right, my motive for action. And my motive for action has to be bigger than my motivation for inaction.
Got it.
Right.
So we may have touched upon that in the first interview. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when we think about, let me give you an example. Let's just talk real estate. We know that the agents who learn the scripts, whether it's the listing scripts, whether it's the objections that they're going to hear, whether with a buyer and the answers to those scripts, whatever the scripts are going to do better than the ones who don't learn it, right?
Yep.
Why do some agents learn the scripts and others don't?
They have a bigger motivation, I guess.
Well, they have a big motivation, possibly, but if we understand procrastination and sabotaging behaviors, of which if I don't learn the script that is required as a skill for me to do what I need to do to make the money and to help more people, then my question then becomes, what may be a law of secondary gain that's causing me to do that? Let me explain. Not learning the script is sometimes motivating people. What I mean is, let's say in the recesses of somebody's mind, they think that if I don't learn the script, then I can't get rejected.
Got it.
If I don't learn the script, I stay safe in my comfort zone, even though I'm not happy here. If I don't learn the script, then I am not going to be embarrassed or ashamed or ridiculed or judged. If I don't learn the script, I can continue mastering disappointment because I don't want to master change. So there's something called the law of secondary gain, when we're talking about the law of performance and behavior. So not doing the thing is actually rewarding, right? So once I understand what may be holding somebody back, the real reason they are not doing it, and I address that and make the desire to overcome that bigger than the embarrassment, shame, ridicule, judgment, failure, disappointment, I can turn that motivation back into fuel for success, or that fear.
Yeah, it's funny. We're rolling out transaction coordinators, and I'm sharing that a lot of agents are going to be scared to use a transaction coordinator to help them with their transactions. And a lot of people are like, yeah, because agents don't want to give up. They don't trust other people to do their deals. They don't want to give up control. And I'm like, it's not that they don't want to give up control. What happens is if they give up the control to a transaction coordinator, what are we doing? We're giving them the gift of time. As a realtor, what you should be doing with that time? You should be prospecting. What do most agents hate to do? prospect. And so by giving them the time, by giving them a transaction coordinator, we're taking away that crutch that they lean on, which they're currently using as the excuse to not go out and prospect.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about what you just said is many, many years ago, Alex, when I was building my own real estate company, and we did an analysis of the agents who were making between $35,000 and $50,000, they were actually spending about 15% of their time in front of somebody who could buy or sell a home. And the agents who were making over $500,000 were spending 85% of their time in front of somebody who could buy or sell a home. And so it wasn't a matter of the knowledge or the skills they had. It was simply around what is it that they were doing in time. Right. So whenever we're looking at behavior, and this is why I always say, if you want to change your income, you got to change your brain. It's not a matter of more skills. And so what we're looking at is, how is somebody protecting themselves, from one of the fears that they may have to protect themselves. Right? So when we have a fear of being embarrassed, ashamed, ridiculed, judged, rejected, not loved, a failure of succeeding and then failing, when we have a fear of disappointing ourselves or our loved one, then we are going to sabotage our behavior in the form of moving to the stuff that's easy to do versus the stuff that I need to do. And so when we can help people see that pattern, sure, and get them to buy into, this is the pattern that I'm looking to release, then we can start to get them to release some of that fear that may be holding them back. But there's really 4 things that hold people back from taking action. One is they lack the knowledge and skills. And so that actually triggers their uncertainty, doubt, fear circuit, which deactivates the motivational circuit, which actually deactivates the motor cortex or behavioral circuit in the brain. Okay. If they have fears, it deactivates motivation and behavioral circuits other than the fight, flight, freeze circuit. If there's a self-image disconnect, I secretly, not to your face, I can declare I want to achieve this. Absolutely, this is great and exciting. If I secretly, in the hidden recesses of my subconscious mind, don't feel that I'm good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough to achieve the vision and goals that even I talk to you and promise you I want to achieve, there will be a disconnect. And if I have limiting beliefs, right, neural patterns that actually cause me to perceive things in the real world, or cause me to behave in certain ways, if I have limiting beliefs that hold me back, I can override a limiting belief short term, with action, but I will revert back to the patterns of the limiting beliefs over a period of time. And that's why change requires between 66 days and 365 days of continuity, not a week or 2 or 3 or even 8 weeks as is in your course where you're upgrading knowledge and skills. All of my programs, all of them, 100 days or nothing.
Really? All right. So then I'm gonna see how I extend the Closer Club, because that's the name of the coaching program, out to 100 days. 100 days
to 365 days. You commit to that. Upgrade your knowledge and skills, upgrade your mindset, upgrade your behaviors, and include accountability, rocket ship through the roof.
So the days of 21, and I'm going back and forth to change.
Bye-bye, game over.
So that's all done. That doesn't exist anymore. So that leaves me. So here's what's interesting. What are you seeing on the brain research front? Has anything changed in the last couple of months regarding the research you've done on how the brain is working with behavior or mindset or positivity or anything? What are you seeing out there?
Listen, there's a lot of work being done right now on the habit circuits or the habitual circuits in the brain and the different cognitive biases that people have. And some of the latest research is around something called the default mode network. So we have 3 major networks in our brain. There's something called the salience network. There's something called the executive functioning network. And there's something called the default mode network. And just as it sounds, it's the network that we default to. It's otherwise known as the automatic self.
Okay.
Right? So Alex has an automatic way of being, and you show up that way all the time because that's easy and natural for you. And it could be constructive, it could be destructive, it could be empowering, it could be disempowering, it could be positive, it could be negative. It could be good for your career, it could be shitty for your career, but you just keep showing up automatically to reinforce those patterns.
Okay.
So the question is, if there's this thing called the automatic self or the default mode network that is just conserving energy and allowing me to think and feel and behave in certain ways that is easy for me to, what do I need to do to recalibrate, reset, rescript this default mode network?
Okay. So essentially creating a new default mode.
Yeah. And this is why, I often say, let's upgrade our own software. Let's upgrade our own networks. Right. And so why are so many people, I'll give you an outlier idea for just a moment. Why are so many people all over the world right now really looking at psychedelics going, oh my God, it's helping with depression, it's helping with trauma, it's helping me clear, my self-image issues I've had for 25 years.
Yeah.
Well, because fundamentally it resets that default mode network very, very, very fast.
Without doing the work.
Well, you're doing a different type of work, but you're doing very, very deep work, and you're able to see things that you normally cannot see. So yeah, you can do affirmations and visualizations and meditation and mindfulness and brain training stuff. And those are all phenomenal. And if you chose to, you could do some medicine work, okay, in a controlled, safe environment. Yep. To be able to see your patterns in a way that you've never seen them before. And when your three networks start to communicate like they have not communicated in most of your life, change can happen a lot more rapidly. So that's why a lot of people are into, ayahuasca or MDMA or psilocybin, and everybody's hearing about, changing your brain from that perspective. Now, I'm not suggesting that anybody.
Thanks to Joe Rogan, by the way, he talks about that all the time.
Yeah, Joe Rogan is one of them. There's a lot of them. But the whole idea is to interrupt the pattern of being yourself and be able to witness it enough to deliberately make the changes happen.
Okay. So how do you do that? If somebody doesn't want to go that route, right? Like I wouldn't, I not my deal, right? For someone like me that wants to rechange or reconfigure or update my software without going that route, what do we do?
So let's say, do you have a favorite Hollywood actor or actress?
Not really.
Okay. Do you have any TV shows you watch at all?
Ted Lasso. Love Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. So I'm not sure. My wife and I were at dinner with some friends last night, and somebody was mentioning Ted Lasso. They love it. I've never seen it. Is there a person that plays Ted Lasso?
Yeah, I don't know his name. I don't know his real life name. I can look it up, but yeah.
So let's say this person, you met him, at a local little coffee shop in Dallas, okay, where you live, and they go, oh my God, I just read a script that I think you would be amazing playing, and it's only about 5 minutes long, and he does one of these things, or he does one of these things, go, you would be amazing. And you said, wow, I mean, that would be kind of cool. And they said, listen, we have a new script for you. You've never read it, you've never seen it, but you just like this actor. And so they said, listen, we'll hire an acting coach for you. We'll teach you everything you need to learn this script, to memorize it, to make it part of you so that you could play that role. You can add these character traits to your current personality, practice them enough, come to Hollywood. We'll film you 6 months from now. What would you do, okay, to learn that 5-minute script?
I'd do it. I'd do everything I have to, just like, just like if I want to race, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to race, right?
Give me specifics.
I would take you up on the hiring coach, on the acting coach. I'd probably read the script every single day to the point that I'd probably recite it without ever having to look at it. I'd probably do it in my car every day, every time I'm not on the phone, or I wouldn't even listen to music anymore.
So would you record yourself and then listen to yourself?
I would assume I would have to. I would do whatever the coach would tell me to do.
Would you maybe get a little camera on a tripod and practice? Would you
Yes.
maybe have the coach watch you? Would you maybe practice with other people? Would you get critiqued so you can get better and better and better and better and better and better and better for month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5, month 6, boom, it's showtime.
Absolutely.
So what I'm hearing is you would practice the role enough in a variety of different ways until you and the role became one.
Yeah.
Well, that's called acting, isn't it? And then that role is a part of you. And then if and when you get really good, people who watch you can't distinguish between Alex Vidal and the role that Alex Vidal is playing. That's called excellence. Hollywood actors and actresses are the Olympic athletes of that.
Got it.
So if you wanted to take a real estate agent or a mortgage broker, anybody who wants to achieve a level of success they haven't yet achieved, yes, they need to know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, why to do it. Yes, they need to overcome the days, the moments, the mornings, the nights of, I don't feel like it, I'm tired. No, I gotta do it again. Yeah, you gotta do it again, right? And you make the new pattern a habitual pattern, because as you make the pattern new habitual pattern, the new habitual pattern makes you.
Sure. Oh, again, you asked me what these were before we got started. It's like they're up there for a reason. It's along the, not acting, but there are days I don't want to train, but if I want to medal, I'm going to have to train.
You got it. And it's the same thing, when I tell somebody, I said, listen, can you run a marathon right now? Jog a marathon right now? 99.9% of people say, I can't jog a marathon right now. So, okay, let's say you committed to running a marathon a year from now. And we did the right training, the right rest, the right food, right? The right massage, the right sleep, the right everything. Could you, if you started with a 1-minute walk today, could you, with the right environment and coaching, jog slowly a marathon a year from now if you were committed?
100%.
And almost everybody says, yeah, man, a year from now, if I had the right coaching, the right environment, the right rest, the right massages, the right food, of course I could. Well, you don't have to be able to run a marathon today in order to run a marathon a year from now, but you do have to commit, then you do have to follow through with the behaviors, the mindset, the skill set, the action set, and the environment to succeed.
Got it.
So first, let's start with, what are you committed to? Your stories, excuses, reasons why you can't, or are you committed to the lifestyle that becoming a better realtor is going to give you? Are you committed to the freedom you're going to have? Are you committed to that trip you want to take? Are you committed to your children seeing you become everything you can be? Are you committed to helping your mother, your father, your community? Are you committed to the charity of your dreams? Which are you more committed to? Who you are right now and what you're achieving right now, or who you want to be in the path to get there? Because you're going to arrive somewhere. But your stories, reasons, and excuses, your fears, your low self-image, your low self-worth, they cannot be bigger than the vision and goals and the why you have. They just cannot be, or they win. I refuse to help you let that win. Are you committed to the path?
And if people are watching this, there's one key word that just keeps coming over and over and over again. It's the word committed, right? Committed. You're either interested or you're committed. Now, it's interesting because, and I want to end with this because I know you have a hard stop in less than 5 minutes, so we got to roll. John, we talked, I heard coach. Do you have someone who's going to coach you, whether it's acting, running a marathon, or whatever? And what I always try to share with my agents is, everybody's the best in the world have coaches. You look at Tom Brady, he's got a coach. Michael Jordan.
A few of them.
Fair enough. Yeah, they have more than one.
Few of them.
They have one for nutrition, one for working out, one for the field, one for their mind, one for their financial holdings, et cetera, because they're making millions of dollars. Yeah. Talk to me about Brainathon and how you're coaching people on their mindset and what that is.
Sure. So listen, I realized many, many years ago that our brain, right? The proper use of our brain, and specifically the subconscious conditioning, that we have, that's the little hinge that swings the big door. That determines what we do and don't do. That determines whether we take inspired action or we don't.
Your alarm.
Right. So I started doing this thing called the Brainathon, where I bring some world-leading experts on what are the latest techniques, methods, tools, resources to master your mindset. Like everybody tells me and agrees that mindset is what separates the best from the rest. I say, great. Like, what are you doing to master your mindset? What are you doing to level up using your $100 billion brain that you own? There's no mortgage on it. Like, how good of an operator are you at your mental focus? How good of an operator on your self-talk? How good are you at emotional management and maintaining your state of confidence, certainty, motivation? How good are you at that? Because all of us have room to improve, but very few of us have a plan of how we're going to improve. So that means by default, we're repeating old patterns versus creating and reinforcing new ones. So I do this brainathon. Once a year, we do a live big brainathon. It's free. I bring on some amazing experts, and we teach an all-day event for people from all over the world. We usually have between 100 and 150,000 people sign up for it, for the live event. We've got one coming up. We'll give you a link for that. And we're going to teach you what you need to do in order to get your mindset right, so that you take inspired action and double, triple, quintuple your income in the next 12 months, not in the next 12 years.
There you go. And John, I'll leave everyone with this. You can be the best realtor. You can be the best, doesn't father, mother, it doesn't matter what you think you're the best at. If you don't want to get out of bed in the morning, nothing else matters.
You got it.
Now, John, I'm going to stop the video and then we'll chat. I'll just say bye to you off camera. But man, thank you so much for bringing it again. I appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, so let me stop the